Hello everybody, welcome to the Hybrid DevOps Pro. I'm Ariel and with me Liaz.
Hi Ariel.
Hi Liaz. Today we're going to talk about Symphony 4.2.7, give you an update on 4.2.7 release. So Liaz, tell us, what's new with Symphony?
Well, we have a lot of new features in 4.2.7. Let's start with the identity. We had pretty exciting stuff.
So, identity is important for securing the system, so tell us what's new.
And this is where people start their journey in Symphony. So let's go to accounts. And you will see that we added certificates in the past. Now let's go for demo, for example, and you can go ahead and create a user. So when you create a user and you choose a password, pay attention that we added some password rules.
Okay,
and
so we made passwords more secure?
Yes. So they have to be 8 characters long. They need to have a special character, 1 letter, 1 number. And you will have also expiration date. So pay attention that once you have, for example, this user, the password expiration date is the 28th of October.
So now admins can have their users refresh their passwords periodically?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Again, we added some features to manage your access keys for AWS APIs. We had some questions about that, so you can very easily get the access key. Again, you can just copy in 1 click and you can show, I'm not showing my secret, but the secret here, and you can copy that as well and put it in your code, whether it's Terraform.
Fantastic. That's very easy for me now to manage my access keys.
Yes.
Great.
If we're talking about AWS and so on, let's see how we enable the VPC project.
Fantastic. So we're working a lot with AWS compatible APIs for all the platform services, and we spoke about VPC models in the past. So what's new in the VPC world?
When you create a project, and we discussed about that recently, you go ahead and let's say I want to create a new project. Previously, I put the project name and I had to go to another screen and enable the VPC.
Yes.
Now it's, so you won't forget about that. I'm just gonna go, Liaz. I click in the same screen, VPC,
okay. So
I enable the
we
network.
made enabling a VPC model for a project in our tenancy easier to use.
Easier. There's no way you're gonna forget about enabling the VPC.
So
if you
it's
need
gonna
to
make it
enable
much
the
easier
VPC.
for us to use VPC model as a default setting for everything that we're doing.
Absolutely. Now, let's go and see what's new in the compute world. So we have support for GPU.
Oh, that's very nice.
I think we're gonna have another video about
so
that.
we'll talk about GPUs extensively in a video we'll make soon.
Yes. And if you remember, last time we added SSL for load balancers. Same thing that we added for database.
So at Symphony 4.2.6, we've added support for SSL termination for the load balancers, and now we've added SSL support to our database instances.
So you know exactly that the database that you're approaching, if you're accessing it from within an application or from outside, is completely secured using SSL.
Fantastic. So we expanded support for RDS APIs on the database services, adding SSL termination. What else did we do?
So let's see how easy it is to add that certificate. I'm putting the instance name. We showed that in the past, but let's assume I want to do that. Next, just choosing the network. Just going to skip backup. And here in the credentials, you go ahead and you can just choose a certificate. You press plus and you can import your own certificate and you're secure.
So we've actually integrated a certificate management capability into the database services as well as the ELBs.
Okay,
Great.
so for administrators, we also added the system alert. Very easy to add a system alert. Just go to region.
So if something happens with my platform, I can get notified?
Yes,
Okay,
if you go to system settings, it is here. You press the SMTP tab and you go ahead and set your own SMTP servers to get system alerts.
Fantastic.
Now, if you want to see what happened in the cluster in the past few, weeks, months, and see it in one pane of glass, then let's go to events. By the way, whenever I'm going fast, that means I pressed Ctrl-K. And
Ctrl-K gives us
you
a
have
shortcut
a
on the
fuzzy
menu.
search, so if you wonder how I'm navigating so easily in Symphony. That's with Control K. So Control K, EVE will put me in events.
Okay.
This wonderful bar shows you
I see a very nice event explorer now.
Yes. So, okay. First, in one glance, you can see that we had a warning, and that warning happened in a very specific time. If you have a bunch of warnings, then as an administrator, you can go ahead and understand what's going on, and you don't have to scroll. One click on that drop, it put me right where the warning is.
I see.
And again, if I just click here, I'm going to get I can navigate easily.
So I see there was activity around 12 p.m. And I can come in, take a look, and see what happened.
Exactly who did. If something had I know something happened during the night, during the morning. It's very easy to navigate.
So we're hearing a lot from our customers that interrogating an event, understanding what happened is extremely important. And as systems get higher load, there's a lot of activity, a lot of events. We need a very easy way to isolate an incident and figure out what's happening, and these tools are helping us do that.
Yes, because the administrators now are facing the scale problem, and that's a very good way to...
Yes. Again, our mission is to make the admin's life simple, taking away a lot of the burden, a lot of the complexity of managing a cloud, and that means visual tools as well as a lot of technology to make his life simple.
Yes, we want people to work as easy as they can. Again, in terms of usability, we got some questions. What is the API endpoints I'm supposed to use when I'm the developer or the admin? API endpoint is where you point your API calls from Terraform, Ansible, AWS CLI.
So we expose a lot of AWS compatible APIs, and each API family is sitting at a slightly different endpoint. Okay.
So go.
What is my endpoint?
So you simply go to help. You press API endpoints, and you get them just in a.
I see. So I'm seeing my EC2 endpoint, my S3 endpoint, my RDS for database, my ELBs, my EFS, my EMR endpoint for Hadoop, and CloudWatch for monitoring.
Yes.
That's
so
fantastic.
In this specific version, one is missing from the API endpoint, but we do have a support for that. That's auto-scaling.
Fantastic.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to see that soon. Very easy. You copy in one click. You place it in your Terraform script. My favorite, of course. And
so the platform is just giving me effectively a private AWS region sitting at, in this case, at 10.16.145.125.
Yes, this is when we create a cluster, we configure a public IP for that cluster. And that's the cluster, that's the IP. By the way, if I'll have a DNS name, like demo25.stratoscale.com, you'll get that.
I'll get that through my DNS.
Yeah,
perfect.
So it depends on what you configure.
Fantastic.
And same we have now.
So again, what else is new?
Yeah.
Symphony 4.2.7.
We discussed all kinds of Kubernetes in the last video we did. And we're going to come back to that when we're going to do the registry. Now, in the containers world, we can create our own registry for our usage.
So we have support for a managed Kubernetes service and a managed registry. So I can create a registry, private registry that I can attach to my clusters.
That private registry is actually accessible from wherever you want towards the cluster. So you can have your Kubernetes, internal Kubernetes, running and pointing to that registry, maybe some kind of external container system pointing into that registry, or a container system that sits on the virtual machine. Everything goes.
Perfect. So I can manage the instance that's serving my registry, I can manage its storage policy, I can have that registry continuously backed up and protected from disasters. I can
you can secure it.
Who has access to it? I can fully secure it inside of my VPC.
And of course, you can add certificates.
And manage it through certificates.
They're fully secured and accessible, just like any other service of Symphony.
Fantastic.
We talked about some AWS compatibility that we added.
So again, we were doing a lot of work around AWS compatibility. I think 4.2.7 has been a great release for us. We fixed over 120 bugs in this release, and we've added close to 20 new APIs across different categories from Autoscale group support. We just saw RDS certificate capabilities and on and on. That's a great release.
Actually, if we talk about AWS, let's talk about something that was greatly expected by our customers, and that's the ability to control AWS objects through the UI.
Yeah. So we've added the VPC API capabilities in Symphony 4.2, and we demonstrated that in the past. We'll probably have another video focusing exclusively on VPC functionality. And in version 4.2.7, we've added the capability also to manage everything through the UI. So our UI console can also now manage this kind of VPC.
Yes.
Why don't you show us a little bit of that?
Let's previously, up until 4.2.6.1, if you wanted to create a VPC, you would go to AWS CLI or Terraform. Right now, if I want to create a VPC, I can actually go to the VPC context and press create and create it. And that's the same features that I would get from Terraform. I can delete things from inside the UI. I want to change something to see what's working, and then go back to the Terraform and change that. Everything is completely accessible.
That's wonderful. So what else is new in Symphony 4.2.7?
So we did some work in the usability of instances. Again, some of the features we asked by our clients. If you go to tab, choosing, and launched at, you can know where the instance was launched at. And that may be a good place to know that we have, apart from what we see in the UI, tons of showback capabilities that we have through all kinds of scripts.
So there's a lot of logging capabilities in the platform, which we expose using the UI console. You, of course, can get access to the logs as well, but we make the life of the operator much easier by being able to monitor things from a single pane of glass.
Yeah, so if you want to know who is your oldest VM, so on, your newest, it's very easy to know.
Fantastic.
To know that. Same goes for Kubernetes, some more usability that we added there. We showed Kubernetes in one of our last videos, and then we show that we can scale from 2 to 3
we can
nodes.
easily scale up the cluster.
Now we can scale down. You just press. You go to the nodes view of the Kubernetes. You choose a node, one of the nodes, and you can just remove it.
Fantastic. So now we can scale up Kubernetes cluster as well as scale it down. We can right size it. We can burst it and then shrink it when there is no demand for the resources.
Yeah,
that's a great improvement.
One of the biggest features is, of course, the installer. I think we're going to talk about that.
We'll talk about that as well, but we have a fresh installer for the platform, again, making it easier to deploy. It's all about usability. It's all about operational management. And all right.
This is it for
Symphony 4.2.7.
That's maybe just
release.
the tip of the iceberg of what we did in that great release. Well, and people can enjoy it.
Thanks, Liaz.
Thank you very much, Ariel.